Good morning and welcome to P&B Sports Show. It seems like it's a very cold weather here in Abuja. I'm Arako Tom. Today we have big topics. First, Manchester United's home victory over Sunderland and what that means for their season. And then we switch to a full look at the 2025-2026 NBA preseason, the storyline, the rookies, and what to expect when the real season begins. Joining me is Benin-based analyst Ero John, who is here to unpack United's win. And later, Mudiaga will join us to break down the NBA season. Errol, let's start with the United game. Give us your read and on the performance at Old Trafford by Manchester United. Good morning.
All right. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, P&B Sports Show. It's always a delight to be in your midst. Thank you for having me. Well, I must give United accolades for that emphatic win over Sunderland. Personally, I did not expect to win that game.
I not blame you. I not blame you now. You're a Chelsea fan. That's the way Chelsea fans always talk.
No, it's not even because of the rivalry or being a Chelsea fan. Sunderland, we agree that they've been decent so far this season. They've been in good shape. So and United have not been so impressive at home this season. So I expected Sunderland to get a good result from the game, at most a draw. That's why I said I'll give it to United. United showed that they needed the win. I always tell you that football is a game of who wants it more. United showed dominance. They showed that they needed the win. I think for the first time in a long time, Ruben Amorim's tactical setup worked for him. And credits to Mason Mount for that early goal. In football, early goals, in fact, early decisions, early goals, early red cards, early yellow cards, they have a way of destabilizing a team. And we saw that in the game. The moment Mason Mount scored in the 8th minute of the game, it became difficult for Sunderland to get back. It became difficult for them to get compact again because they approached, if you check their tactical setup, they approached the first half with an attacking mindset. Yes. They wanted to attack United. And United, on the other hand, wanted to, in fact, that has been Ruben Amorim's approach. They tried to attack the aggressive press, which brought the goal that Mason Mount scored. Kudos to him. He's been decent this season. But then you see that when they conceded the goal in the early stages of the game, they had to play compact. They had to readjust themselves. They had to readjust their system. They had to play compact. But it was difficult for them to now get back into the game. And then having a penalty overturned in the first half also played a role for them. That would have given them an opportunity to get back into the game. That would have given them an opportunity to grow their momentum again.
Errol, before we dive into the penalty, let's move back to Mason Mount. You mentioned Mason Mount and you mentioned his goal at the 8th minute. What does this mean for Manchester United moving forward? Because I think Manchester United scoring this early is not something that we are used to, and it seems like they've been able to show themselves over time. You know, I think they had early attacks, like you said, and Mason Mount, you could see that he kept linking himself up with the wingers, and you could see the chemistry on that part. So what does this early goal play for Mason Mount and the chemistry with the wingers? What is that role in Manchester United so far?
Okay, thank you for that. I was telling him my neighbor is a Manchester United fan, and he was angry. He was always angry that Mason Mount was starting games for United. I told him something. I said without sentiment, because I liked Mason Mount when he was at Chelsea. So he knows that. So he probably thought I was speaking from a place of sentiment. I told him that Mason Mount is one of the key players in Ruben Amorim's tactical setup. I told him, I said he should place a bet. When Mason Mount gets injured, it will be very evident. The reason is because Mason Mount is a very good presser. He has the same instinct as Mark Guehi of Chelsea. They can press you from the first minute to the 90th minute and not get tired. So, and that is a key factor in the Ruben Amorim's 3-4-1-2 setup. You have to press aggressively, and that's Mason Mount is playing that role so well. We have seen it all through the season. not just against Sunderland. In every single game that he has played in this season, we have seen him play that press. Even on games where he does not get to score or register an assist, it is clear. If you watch football, if you know football very well, you will know the role Mason Mount plays. I don't think United has any. The only player I see in that team that can play that role also is Amad Diallo. Apart from the both of them, I don't think United has any other attacking player that can play that role perfectly. That role of a constant press. It is so. How does this affect United's games? If you don't press, the formation collapses. Because that is the whole idea behind the setup. Press them aggressively, cause them to make mistakes, and get a goal.
Okay, but we can see that Amorim has been very inconsistent, because it seems that he has chosen one style, and if that style doesn't work for him, he doesn't move forward. But it seems like that style worked for him against Sunderland. So do you think that Amorim needs still, because some people are like, anytime he loses, they are like, he needs to change tactics. So do you think that he still needs to change tactics, or do you think that he should just keep on maintaining this tactics that he has started with in Manchester United?
I'll be very straightforward. I think he still needs to change his tactics. The fact that he defeated Sunderland with that tactics does not make the tactics beautiful. It does not mean that the tactics is now, I mean, we have seen where you are a sportsman. You do an evaluation. Yes. How many games has he played with these tactics? How many has he won? How many has he lost? How many has ended in a draw? That should give you the answer. I still think he needs to change the tactics. I still don't think that the tactics is perfect. But what I suggest, what I think, because I've listened to him so many times trying to defend the tactics and say the players have to grow into it, which is a good idea. I think he needs to have a plan B. And that's the same problem I have with Enzo Maresca. If plan A does not work, what is the next line of action? That is why the likes of Pep Guardiola, the likes of Jose Mourinho, the likes of Luis Enrique, they will always be better coaches. They can approach the game with 3 to 4 different tactics. If plan A does not work, you switch it up.
Yes.
So I think Ruben Amorim, if he as the gaffer says he wants to maintain the tactics, good and fine. I just think I want to see what he will do in the January transfer window. Whether he will bring in 1 or 2 players that can fit into the system.
Well, it still seems like they need their defensive midfielder. But moving forward, yes. but moving forward, we have players like Sesko, who had a goal in 31st minute, a close-up goal, and it seems like Sesko has been a player that has been consistent for Manchester United. What does this mean for Manchester United, and what is Sesko's role so far in Manchester United? People are asking, is he playing his role well?
For now, I will say he's playing his role well. And the reason I will say that is because he's new in the league. You know, the Premier League is a very patient and intense league. You can imagine the game against Sunderland. Things like that will not happen in Slovenia, where he's coming from. You understand? So I will give it to him. So far, he has 2 goals in the Premier League. He's a new striker who was just recently signed. He's trying to blend into the team. As for Sesko's strength, Sesko is good on the air. He's very good. His physique, his height, he knows how to bully defenders. We see what he did with Chalobah that even brought about the red card against Chelsea. So that is an advantage for Manchester United. I think that's the same addition that Haaland offers to Manchester City. The fact that you have a target man who can bully defender, drag them to himself, create space for other players. I think that's one thing that's been helping the likes of Brian Mbeumo and Mason Mount. The fact that Sesko can draw 2 to 3 players to himself, he can bully them, he can stay with them, and the fact that he's good on the air. You are rest assured that when the likes of Brian Mbeumo play their dangerous crosses, you have somebody up there to meet up with them. So if he manages to blend so well into the system, he will be a force to reckon with for Manchester United.
Okay. But talking about 8 minutes goal, 31st minutes goal, it seems like Manchester United, they were so organized in that first half. But moving forward to the second half, we could also see some lapses. We could see that they were more relaxed in the second half, and they were not pressing as much. Do you think that it was Amorim telling his players, hey guys, we've gotten the 2 goals, let's calm down a little bit, let's save our strength? Or do you think that it was just fatigue that was beginning to kick in for the team? Because moving on, you could see that possessions from Manchester United to Sunderland. Manchester United had 50.7 against Sunderland, who had 49.3 possessions on the ball. So you could see that even the possessions actually came more in the second half. What does this say for Manchester United? Is it that Sunderland is just a more compact team or a better team when it comes to strength? Or is it that it was a tactical fault for Manchester United?
I strongly think it was a tactical decision by Ruben Amorim. I mean, I am already 2 goals up in the first half. I am playing at home. There's no need to go all out in the second half because football can be risky at times. Ruben Amorim being a coach, we already know, even me that is watching, I already know that in the second half, Sunderland will come out. Because, I mean, they want to get a result. You are already 2 goals up. They want to get a goal. They want to win. So, the best decision was play compact and stay on the ball. I always tell people that the best form of what's it called? The best form of defense is to retain the ball. That's the best way to defend. Retain the ball. It is when your opponent sees the ball that they can do things with it. When the ball does not get to them, it's difficult for them to do anything. So I think going into the second half, I'm already to these players. We are already 2 goals up. Let's calm the pressure down. There's no need to start running. There's no need to play the high press again. There's no need to be so aggressive. Let's stay compact, stay on the ball, pass the ball. Let's enjoy the game. If we are lucky enough, we had a 3rd goal. And that was it. And it worked out so well for Manchester United. So I don't think it was as a result of fatigue. I strongly think it was as a result of the fact that it was the coach's decision that the players should play compact rather than playing a high press because they were already 2 goals up in the first.
Okay. So for that match, who was your best player?
For the match?
Yes.
I'll give it to Mason Mount.
Okay, but Mason Mount didn't win the man of the match. I think the person that won the best player in that match was the goalkeeper, Semelemen, and he had about 4 saves, and I think he was able to keep a clean sheet. If there was Onana on that goalpost, I don't think they would have been able to keep a clean sheet with the record he had already set. So, what do you think about the new goalkeeper?
I think that was good of him. He appeared to be decent. He appeared to be quite composed, and that's an addition. Keeping a clean sheet would have boosted his morale and his psychological strength into the game, being his first game for Manchester United. But I'm not one that judges a player by 1 or 2 games. Let's see what he does in the coming games. Let's see what he's able to offer in the coming games before we can now start dotting the I's and crossing the T's to say, oh, this is the solution to the goalkeeping problem of United. Because Andre Onana, in his first few games, he was also very decent. So we cannot judge by 1 game. But Yemen's was decent. I give it to him. He was good. He made some very crucial saves that kept United in the game. And that was really something to give him thumbs up for.
Okay. Great analysis, Ero. Thank you so much. Well, Ero has said it earlier. Has spoken about Manchester United, and he has also spoken about the Manchester United goalkeeper. To me, I think that is one of the major problems of Manchester United. But he has told us, he said, do not judge a book by his cover. Thank you once more, Ero John. It's always lovely to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So right now we're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we are going to be changing gears because it seems like in the NBA it's preseason time. So sit down, grab your popcorn, get your teacup, because P&B Sports Show will be right back. Okay, welcome back to P&B Sports Show. I remain your host, Aro Kotom. Well, we don't have Ero here again. He doesn't talk about basketball, but we have someone here that talks about basketball, and now we'll be switching courts and time zones. The NBA preseason is underway and is giving us early clues about how teams will look when the regular season starts. Mudiaga joins us for that all the way from Delta State. But first, we are going to be asking him, Mr. Mudiaga, how is the weather in Delta?
Today is sunny and bright. Weather looks clear. No sign of rain yet. Yet.
Okay. That is strange for the other states. But let's move straight into the NBA. The NBA preseason is on the way. What are the takes from last season, and how do you see it translating into the NBA preseason?
Okay, I think this season is going to be interesting because of the shuffles and trades they made towards the second half of last season for teams like Dallas and Houston Rockets. Those were two teams that made some trades. Kevin Durant leaving Phoenix to Houston, and AD, Cooper Flag, and Kyrie.
Yes.
So I think those are two teams that are going to be very interesting to watch out how it comes together.
Okay. We saw players like we saw Dallas play. We saw players like Cooper Flag, and we could see flashes of what Cooper Flag was made of. And you could see the management before the game. They were like, "This guy has shown us flashes of what he can do in our trainings and in our workouts." And they actually gave him an opportunity. You could see him throwing lobs up and down to AD, and you could see him playing compact. You can see him understanding the game like he has been there for a very long time. So what do you think about him and his style of play so far?
So far, so good. Cooper Flag has really shown that he's going to be a great player. Both from last season when he came and when he came now, and this preseason we've seen so far. But I don't have any worries about him. I think he will develop well. But the problem I just have for Dallas, and I think all the issue they will look out for is health. Because Kyrie is currently out, and then we know AD's health issue. Can he stay healthy throughout the season? Yeah, so that's the issue, because I think Dallas is going to be a very good, interesting team, and if they can be healthy, they look like they can really go far in the season. But health is going to be a major concern for Cooper Flag. Like you said, so far, from the video we've seen him, he looks like he's good to go. So there's no issues there. He's just going to develop, and he has good players beside him like Kyrie and ED to mentor him along that journey. But as a team, for Dallas, my worry would be helps for people like Kyrie and AD.
Okay. You spoke about the Rockets earlier, and we watched their preseason game yesterday. And when they played that game, we realized that they didn't even come out with a full squad. They came out with half of what they actually had to offer, and we could see the way they played. They played so well. It was so scary yesterday. I think they played the Hawks. So what are your takes on the way they played yesterday?
One thing you're sure to get from a team coached by Ume Udoka is that they're going to really play hard, and it's a well-coached team. So the Rockets, since Ume Udoka's there took over, have been really on the rise, and they've been making improvements step by step every year. Adding KD, that's another dimension to it. But my problem with KD, can he lead this team? Because he's the leader there, or he's the de facto leader there. They're going to look for him to be the leader. And that's something KD has shied away from. It's not KD has really been in many good teams throughout his career, but one element that has been missing from him is leading. Because look, when it comes down to it, and in the playoffs, which we are talking of now, because a team like Rockets now, we're not looking at if they'll make the playoffs. We're looking at how far will they go for the playoffs. Are they going to go to the Western Conference Final? Because that's why I'm looking for a team like the Rockets, especially with a coach like Ume Udoka, and adding someone like half the team. Not everybody played that. You could see how they played. But my own issue is that will that leadership be there from KD? But which has been missing for a very large. He has been missing all his career. Because he has already had good teams from OKC to Brooklyn to Phoenix. So that would be my issue for the Rockets team.
Okay. So moving forward, we also saw the Lakers playing earlier. We could see Bronny James playing. We didn't see LeBron James. LeBron James, he's still out resting, and what is his name called? The European. Sorry, if you can just remind me on the Lakers. Luka Doncic. Yes, Luka Doncic is also out because he's still resting from the stressful season coming in from the Europa season. So how does this translate for the for Lakers? Because if you had seen earlier, we heard some rumors that LeBron James had wanted his player option, but it was rejected by the Lakers. So what do you think about Manchester? What do you fancy Manchester United still thinking about football? What do you think about the Lakers? Do you think that they are moving on from LeBron James so far? And how will this also affect Bronny James?
Okay, let me take it one by one. I think yes, the Lakers are gradually phasing away from LeBron James because, to be fair, he's playing his 23rd season, and you can't really, as great, I'm a big LeBron fan, and as great as LeBron is, at some point, Luka is the younger guy. You have to move away from LeBron, gradually. And so I think Lakers now, okay, you know what? We are now, let's start gradually transitioning away from the LeBron. But LeBron is always going to be LeBron, and it's always going to be impactful. But on the long term, Lakers are looking long term.
Yes.
So on the long term, they are looking Luka, for it. But so far, so good, So over the 2 preseason games Lakers have played, I can't really read anything to it because I've been disappointed. But on the other hand, Luka has not played, LeBron has not played, and those are 2 great players, and they know how to make it work. So so far so good. This season when they come, I won't read too much into the preseason games for Lakers, but when they come, my issue will be. Luka looks like it's in good shape, but is there the willingness to play defense? Because that has been one of the major issues with Luka. He doesn't really play defense. But now, he's in shape. Being in shape is one thing. Playing defense is another thing. To compete on defense, 99 is another thing. So Luka make that shift to at least make an effort on defense. If he does that, Luka and LeBron, they are two of the most talented and IQ players we have in the league. So they will always make it work. And LeBron is smart enough to know that, Luka take over, let me come in and, take charge. So as for Bronny James, over the 2 games, it's been, mixed. I think yesterday was just there. The first game, it was really horrible. Let's see how it goes. I think we might get a rotation, from the bench in the Lakers team. So let's see how he transitions and how he grows in that role. I think a lot of people just have too much expectations on Bronny James, which I tell them, damn it down. He's a second round pick that was 55th. So and he just unfortunately carried the famous name of James. Yes. So what I'm expecting them, I'm not going to see one dramatic rise from him, filling the start sheet. What I'm expecting is if he comes off the bench, those little things, can he make an impact here and there on defense and contribute? That's what I'll be looking for him. I'm not looking for him to give us big numbers.
Okay. Fantastic. But talking about Luka, we've seen Luka. I think when he went into the international games, we could see Luka. We saw him against Greece. We saw him against countries like Finland, and we can see that he actually tried his best to play defense. People were surprised that is this the same Luka? He seemed slimmer. He seemed faster. He seemed smarter, and we could see him play defense. But moving on away from the Lakers, let's go to the Pelicans. The Pelicans. We saw them travel to Melbourne to play the Melbourne basketball team that plays in the NBL. What does this say with the NBA building international relationships with these players? But before you answer that question, I just remembered Dallas played their first preseason game after 30-something years in this preseason. So let's move on away from that and talk about the Melbourne situation. What does this say for international relationships and the NBA's relationship with other leagues?
Yeah, over the years, the NBA has tried to really become a very global league and global brand. And it's evident in the league itself, the NBA, that even if you call the top 5 players now, if you call the last 5 MVPs, they've been international European players. So it tells you the reach the NBA has worldwide. So the NBA is continually trying to expand their reach, to leagues and especially strong leagues. And you see Australia, the NBA has a very strong league, and it's evident. If you look at the Australian players we have in the NBA, they are doing very well, So, that's the NBA still trying to reach, and it's evident in the NBA, like I said, the last 5 MVPs have been foreign players from overseas. So that shows you that the international global game is growing and taking firm roots inside the NBA. And the NBA recognizes that. That's why the NBA is spreading its tentacles.
Okay. Talking about spreading his tentacles, we heard from the president of the NBA, Adam Silver, recently in an interview. He said that, building basketball in Africa, that we have the BAL in Africa, but that the plan for the BAL is that they want to move it from a qualifying phase, that instead of qualifying and getting into BAL, that their own plan is that they want to have 12 franchises in the Basketball Africa League, which will be sponsored by them, because this is going to build revenue. What is your take on that? Do you think that is the way to go, or do you think that they should just continue with the pattern in which it's being played?
I think that would be the way to go, because if you look at the BAL since the inception of the game, they've been continually making improvements, upgrading it, and obviously, what he said, I think that is their end goal. That's one of their vision they want to get to. I think that would be a good thing, for have 12 franchises and that, like we have in the NBA, that's really going to drive revenue, drive interest, and it is a good plan. It's a good vision the NBA has for BAL in Africa, But the other part, again, I ask, what are the various African basketball FAs, what are they doing to grow the domestic league in the continent?
Yes. So it seems like that is the real question from Mudiaga and from everybody. What are the other franchises doing to build the basketball in the continent? Do we have the facilities? Do we have the wherewithal to actually bring this? And the last one, will Nigeria be able to have its own franchise among the 12 teams in the Basketball African League? Thank you so much, Mudiaga. Thank you so much for your analysis. Thank you. It's always a pleasure. And we hope to always have you on this program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Excellent stuff, Ero Amudiaga. Thank you both for those insights. That's all for this edition of the P&B Sports Show. Well, I'm tired and I'm hungry. I just want to get something to eat. We'll be watching how the narratives we discussed today develop over the week, from Amorim's Manchester United to the NBA teams tightening their rotations. I'm Aaron Cotton, and see you tomorrow.